I asked you to design a better chair, what is the first thing you would do? Our immediate instinct is to grab a pen. We start sketching cup holders, adjusting the backrest, or imagining a sleeker shape. Train. This diagram explains why that approach fails. A vague design, a better chair directive is an amateur problem statement with missing labels. But looks right. Professional design requires a complete checklist before drawing. Who is it for? What's the budget? Constraints define success. This brings us to the product development life cycle. Professional design does not begin with drawing. It begins with a disciplined phase known as product discovery to find the actual friction point, giving research and moving straight from an initial spark to a physical prototype. Creates a solution in search of a problem. In a market where 90% of startups disappear. Failure to validate the underlying need is the difference between a tool that changes lives and one that vanishes. Corded vanishes because it addressed a challenge that didn't actually exist. Let's look at a real-world case study. A design team was tasked with building a classroom chair for Cambodian university students. Instead of sitting in a studio guessing what students wanted, the team went directly into the lecture halls to watch them work. They recorded exact, unfiltered complaints. Students noted that the table was too small to hold a laptop and a notebook at the same time. They reported back pain after 2 hours of sitting. Codedly, they were frustrated that their bags got dirty resting on the floor. Affective discovery requires designers to verbal complaints with objective observation to expose hidden patterns in behavior. By analyzing the frequency of these issues, the team discovered the actual failure point. The dominant problem was not aesthetics or seat shape. It was severe chair wobble. Chairs lacked basic structural durability. Observation reveals a functional mechanical flaw that isolated brainstorming could never predict. This creates a core challenge. How do you hand the manufacturer a sketch that simply says, "Don't make it wobble"? Q'd used the method called quality function development, or CUT. This system translates human frustration into measurable engineering requirements. Code. A desire for durability turns into binary constraints. The requirement becomes a 120 kilogram static load capacity, 50,000 fatigue cycles, and powder-coated steel instead of plastic. Converting feelings into hard engineering specs prevents the final product design team from making purely subjective emotional design decisions later in the process. Quote, this exact discovery framework applies to digital products. Look at how Spotify adapted its platform into 73 languages by observing user behavior, or how Airbnb adjusted its software to meet local country regulations. Software. Designers use tools like the fake door test. You place a coming soon button on a website for a feature that hasn't been built yet. Simply to measure actual interest before writing a single line of code. Asking customers what they want in a survey is highly unreliable. Tracking real-time behavioral data. Or time-boxed beta testing, where a small group uses a prototype in the real world for a few weeks. Gives you real proof of what they actually need. Whether you are bending steel or writing code, tracking actual human behavior stops your team from wasting budget on features no one demands. So when do we actually get to draw? Chart details the product design process. Notice that concept generation, the sketching phase, doesn't happen until step 4. In the second diagram, generated sketches are run through a funnel acting as a ruthless filter called the merit matrix. Every sketch is judged against specific constraints discovered in the field. If the concept fails the local materials or cost boundaries, it gets thrown out immediately. Strict engineering constraints do not kill creativity. It entirely on producing a viable reality. Traditional product development tries to optimize for predictability, following a rigid plan regardless of market signals. Code and product discovery optimizes for continuous learning to reach product market fit. You have to shift from opinion-driven workflows to evidence-based. An idea alone is not a product, and grabbing a pencil is never the first act of design. If you want to build a product that survives the market, you have to leave the studio and observe how people actually live.